I'm very worried that Claire O'Neill and Andrew Giles, Anthony Albanese have decided on a model which is going to make it more dangerous and unsafe for the Australian community. We're talking here about significant criminal histories of people who have offended against multiple Australians. Rape, pedophilia, murder. These are very significant criminals. And the fact that the government has another 340 who are likely to go out into the community just elevates the risk to women and to children, but to society more generally. So I hope that the Prime Minister can come up with a solution here. They had the alarm bells ringing in June when they had comments from the High Court Justice that indicated that they had a problem they needed to deal with. They did nothing about it. Let's be very clear. They could have resolved this issue by way of their legislation. If they say now that there's legislation to provide for preventative detention, they could have done that in June. They didn't do it. And we supported legislation to tighten up what the government had proposed. We'll support further tightening up or further legislation which is going to stop more people from being harmed. But this is a government that's created a real mess. And unfortunately, as always, the Australian public will pay the price for that.
On secrecy, do you believe it's fair to enshrine legislation, the ministerial direction that any prosecution of journalists who publishes stories based on secret information need to be signed off by the Attorney General?
Well, I'll ask James to make a comment in relation to this. James has been a long-standing member of our PJSIS, the Intelligence and Security Committee, and there's always a balance here for governments to make sure that the rights of journalists and free speech are protected. We know that the misinformation bill that the government sought to bring before the Parliament would have really had a very significant negative impact on free speech in our country. The government's now delayed that, and this is a government, particularly an Attorney General, that has some very strange ideas. So, James, you might want to make some additional comments.
Press freedom is a critically important freedom in a liberal democracy, and of course the Coalition strongly supports freedom of speech, but we're also facing a very serious national security threat environment as well. The Director General of ASIO says that espionage and foreign interference are our #1 security risk, and in the context of the AUKUS agreement, we know there are intelligence agents all over Australia trying to steal our most exquisite military secrets. So we'll look at any sensible proposal that the government bring forward, but we have to make sure that those national security imperatives are appropriately balanced against the press freedom imperatives that we want to protect as well.
Australia has got a wide range of
Look, that's a matter for the government to consider. We can always review whether they're appropriate, but the balance is critical to be struck here. We are in a very uncertain strategic environment. We do have rising authoritarian powers, including in our own region, and they have attempted to subvert our democracy. They have attempted to undermine our democracy, and we shouldn't do anything that gives them any opening to do so.
On issues, federal infrastructure issues like the diamond interchange at Washington Freeway, we've been promised that there's funding reports happening that's on the way, it's coming, but obviously nothing concrete yet. So what's your view on getting those moving?
Well, I just think for local people here in Wallen, this is another blow because you've got a government that's now 18 months into their term and they're still making decisions about which infrastructure projects will proceed. So they've effectively wasted 18 months because the Coalition promised this project $50 million worth of funding when we were in government. It's desperately needed infrastructure within the local community, and Rob Mitchell's been completely missing on the issue. People want a local member who can fight for them, who's energetic, who's enthusiastic, who is aspirational for them, and Rob Mitchell is none of that. And unfortunately, it's the local residents who are missing out on these infrastructure investments because Catherine King has delayed the decision-making. The project won't get off the ground anytime soon under this government because they can't manage money. They can't manage these big projects. They're always in the too hard basket, and locals end up sitting in traffic or they go without necessary infrastructure for years and years and years, and that's the price, unfortunately, that people pay for Labor governments. And I just think Anthony Albanese, Rob Mitchell have forgotten about many Australians. There are many Australians who are working hard and going backwards under this government. Their electricity bills are going up, their gas prices are going up, every cost of living pressure on their family continues to increase, and that's what we've got after 18 months of Labor. And the Prime Minister isn't standing up for our country. He isn't showing the strength of leadership that is required in a very difficult time, and I think that's why Australians are marking him down at the moment. All right, thank you very much.